Would you like to know what's messing up your delivery as a speaker? There's common challenges, roadblocks, issues that create the results that we don't want in our presentations. And now it's time to be pitch perfect. Now it's time to master your delivery, to learn techniques and strategies from a pro. And my special guest is Miluna Fausch, and she is the creator of Pitch Perfect. And she is amazing. I met her at a conference, and she just really sung to my core of who she is, the information that she could share with you. That's why I'm bringing her to my audience. I want you to get the results that you want and that you desire most. So I'm going to provide value today with incredible information from my special guest, Miluna Fausch. And it's Dr. Miluna Fausch.
It actually is.
She's very humble and very sweet. And so even though she really owns her power, who she is, she's not thinking, I've got to impress you by saying doctor. She really is just magnificent what she does. So she doesn't even need to say doctor. So Miluna, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into being this pitch perfect expert.
Thank you. I could always sing. So imagine I was a little girl in my backyard and I'd swing on the swing set and I'd sing every television commercial that was on the radio or on the television. And I've spent most of my life, if not thinking almost every year of my life, studying the voice in one capacity or another, as a singer, as an actor. I worked in 9 to 5. I worked in sales. And I've been a singing coach for years and years. But a few years ago, I realized, just being in love with entrepreneurs and business owners, I could see what presenting poorly was costing them. They had stage fright. They had no idea how to own the room, command the room, take up space. And I realized that I love working with business people, and I could bring all of my years of experience, my love of the voice, and help them with their public speaking, their presentations, and their pitches.
One of the things I loved about you was your background. You know, as a kid, I always wanted to be an actress, right?
Yes.
And actually, I had twice in grammar school, as I tried out for a play one time and talent show, and next time I had my classmates laugh at me because I was so bad.
Oh,
so that shot those dreams down. And I think there is an art to presenting that allows you to be authentic, but also artful, right? So in those emotional stories, to be able to emote, to be able to express yourself in a way that is crystal clear about what you're experiencing or what other people are experiencing and the message you try to share. And that is an important part of it, having that, at least that understanding of it. People may not have the background that you have, but the understanding of why it's important and learning the skills for it are key.
Well said. Absolutely.
So I'm sure you, in your past recently, I don't know if you do a lot of events or going to events or you're speaking at an event like I am, we see other speakers. Right? And
yes.
So
all the time.
Trained, and it's not that they're not trying to do their best, they just don't know what the best is. So they think, okay, I'm comfortable speaking and it's okay.
Yes.
There's a real true art to it. And when you see amazing speakers, you know it. So what would you say is kind of missing from public speaking today that would help it even be more impactful?
There's so many things, as you can imagine, pardon me. And as you said, I think the first thing, now I'm here in San Francisco, this is all about tech. So the first thing I see missing is heart, the sense of vulnerability. People want to look so intelligent. They're in love with the brain, specifically the left brain. But what we react to and what we connect to is many, many levels. So we need heart and vulnerability would be the first thing that I see. The second is a sense of wholeness. Again, it seems to be we're in love with the PowerPoint or the facts or the numbers. And that's great for all the engineers and all the investors. And yet, even angel investors say to me, Dr. M, we also invest with our heart, our money, our heart. The stories touched us, the product, the software, whatever these companies are, they change lives. So I'm not seeing people show up fully. And you mentioned authentic. It's It's real and it's authentic, but it's also, let me lead into the next one, practiced and rehearsed.
Yes.
Most people can't just get up there and wing it. You and I can, because we've done this for years and years and years. But I see people that do not, you can clearly tell they really didn't spend time. They did not practice, they did not rehearse. And my question is, why did it matter? Why did it not matter enough to practice and rehearse and own what you're going to say, that message? The last thing I would say is connection with the audience. And when we're in stage fright and we're in ego and we're in the head, right? The talking head, we're out of our body and we're not able to connect not only with the depths of our heart and soul and message, but with the audience.
I loved everything that you listed there, and I 100% agree with you. And then I have actually worked with one of my past clients who raised $750,000 in capital after I helped her craft her talk. And we created her story around why she was in the business that she was in. And that's a big factor in how she was able to close that much investor money. And if without that, she wouldn't have pulled at their heartstrings. And you still have to put, yes, numbers matter, but there is also that heart. They want to know that the business, the person that they're investing in is passionate. And the biggest way is passion is to share your personal experiences and why you got into what you're doing. Yes. And do it. And I feel like you got to do it in a grounded way, right? Because we know, right? We could go on about stories, right? Just keep going on and on and on. It didn't seem like it had a point. It went here and it went there. And it's got to be really grounded and thought out personal story.
Thank you. In a grounded way. That is key. And that's a perfect example of why it matters. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. And I think also to the rehearsing, that's crucial. Because I think people, I don't know if you've had this happen with you, but I've done events, longer day events, and people think I'm just going to go out and do my own event. I made it look so easy. Well, then I realized how much work went into that. You know, that opening was practiced over and over again, right? Key elements, my story, my closing were practiced over and over again. And all the other little pieces.
We spent hours behind the scenes, haven't we, AmondaRose?
Yes.
Hours. Yes. We practice too. We still practice. I'm sure you do. I do.
Yep. If I have a new, like so I'll talk to this with my clients and they'll say, well, how much should I practice? If it's a brand new talk, you have need to practice it until you know it, until you can deliver that talk without your notes.
Yes.
That's it. That's how much you need to know it. And so that it doesn't sound rehearsed and scripted and it's not scripted, but you can speak from your heart and be in the moment. You got to know your timing. If you don't rehearse it, you won't know your timing.
Very true. You got to know your timing. That's key as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So many people who want to get into speaking want to make money. So that's a challenge that comes up for people. So what would be something that would hinder them from making money as either maybe closing stage, selling from the room, or even maybe making money as a speaker? What would hinder them from doing that?
There are things I see executives and speakers do. There's a few things. And to me, it impacts our ability to be recognized, noticed, promoted, be on that stage. The first thing would be something that's basic, but I still see it all the time. I was on a webinar yesterday morning. All the time, the filler words, the dreaded filler words. You know what I mean? I'm going to talk about and so and like, and you know. We must stop these filler words. It just shows that our brain is going, our thinking. And I always invite my clients to start with the technique of the pause. When you don't know, or when you feel the need to fill up that space, it's like a rest in music. We wouldn't be able to hear music without a pause, a rest. And as you know, some of the most powerful speakers in the world are artists at the pause. A dramatic pause where we can hold our space and hold our connection with the audience is priceless. I also see people, especially women, cross their legs and get small. And I don't know about you. I was taught to be quiet and not heard and not take up space. So my journey is still to be bigger and take up more space. And one of my opera coaches in my undergrad, I sang opera. And I had an amazing German opera coach who had escaped from East Germany. And she said to me, "You do not take up enough space on stage." And it took me years to understand. But when we look at great actors, singers, poets, spoken word artists, speakers, they are expansive. They are taking up space. For you, you're a very tall lady. This has a beautiful advantage because you're owning your body. You're not crunching. You're not apologizing. You're showing up fully.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And let me see one more thing that I would say costing us money. I think it's what you said, just rambling on, not having a clear story written out, not rehearsing it or hiring a coach like us. You need to be able to get to the point. You need to get to your timing. And we tend to overdo it with audiences. You need to make 3 or 4 points, key points, and you know, ad lib, I mean, not really ad lib, but elaborate would be a better word on those. We tend to overgive or give too much. The audience can't possibly hear or learn or connect when we give too much.
As you can see, I'm like, so nodding with you. Absolutely true. Obviously, she's an expert and she knows what she's talking about. It is the truth. And those are things that I've had challenges with myself. And so I used to be the queen of the ahs and ums. Every other word was so I could overcome that. Yes. I'm a little bit working on my so's. I watch myself on video or hear myself on video. The so word. And it's the same technique. And sometimes you might pick up a habit of some people that are watching, you might pick up a habit from a friend.
Yes.
It might be they're going, and so now you're saying, all the time. So just stop and pause. As Miluna had shared, powerful speakers pause, listen to us. We pause. It allows us to take in the information, to hear it, to process it. And I don't know if you have found, sometimes the reason people will say to me is that they do that is they're afraid that somebody else is going to jump in on the conversation. They're going to get cut off. And I think that has to do with not holding, to the next thing you share, with not holding your space.
It's true. And I actually do a talk on how to be heard in a world that interrupts women. Because studies show that women are 50% more interrupted by men and by women. And so, as you said, it is a fact. I'm interrupted all the time. I'm sure you are as well. Sometimes I find myself interrupting. We're in such a pace, we're in such a hurry, we're so impatient. And it takes real training, real centering for us to not do that. And there are techniques to also hold your space. As you said, take up more space. I literally, one time, a man just kept interrupting me and trying to diminish me. And I finally held up my hand and I said, "I'd appreciate if you'd let me finish." There are lovely, beautiful, graceful ways to make people aware of that habit, because as you said, we pick up things from other people, we pick up our own habits. I listen to others, I react, I pick up accents. Next thing I know, I'm speaking like them because I'm so in love with linguists and words and voices. And we need to take a stand sometimes. We need to say, "Let me finish," and to continue. I mean, there are ways to make sure we were heard, especially in the boardroom or a place like that.
And the minute I just interrupted you.
Go ahead.
Please forgive me for doing that. The minute that happens, that you, a speaker or presenter or in the boardroom, you let somebody overtake your conversation, what you're sharing, and you let them take over, you have lost everyone's respect.
That's a great point. It kind of shows we don't value our words.
Yeah.
We've made it real clear that our words don't matter. And you see this primarily, again, with women.
Mm-hmm.
Men are generally, I'm going to stereotype a bit, but a lot of the men are better. They think their words matter.
Yeah.
And so we need to adopt that balance, that more balanced attitude that most of us are pretty thoughtful. I care very much about what I say. I've crafted the word choices. You have helped us craft our story. That's what you do with us. And those words matter.
Mm-hmm. They do matter. And
as you know, one voice can change everything. It has in history. It has in her story. I like her story.
And I think what you shared about that stopping that person and having some wording that you can use that you know will allow you to share that this is not okay, but do it in a respectful way, right? Because we never want to go off on somebody. So if somebody cuts you off and say, can you please hold your thought? Would like to finish this, or what you had shared. So you can stop somebody in their tracks and do not be afraid of cutting their butts off. Cut them off. They interrupted you. Take your control back, but do it in a professional manner.
That is a great point, and we invite our listeners to check with us about words and practice. Write down some things that they think could work in their own voice. What are a couple of things you could say? And practice them in front of the mirror or with someone else. Have somebody practice interrupting you. And when we practice and we start owning that, we get very good at staying in our space, right? In our power, no matter what is happening.
Yeah. Really awesome. So thank you. Those are great suggestions. So let's talk about the voice. Now, I'll share a little bit about my background. I obviously have a higher voice. And when I would first start speaking, I would get my adrenaline rush through my body, and my voice would go into my higher register. So it's like a chalkboard, right? Not pretty. And somebody pointed that out to me, and then I was like, oh, because all my breath was up here, right? Oh, lost you for a second.
Yes.
Okay, I lost you for 1 second. So let me just, let me start that over, okay? And I'll just cut that. When I first started speaking, I would go into my higher register of my voice. I already have a high voice, and when you go into the higher register, it becomes squeaky, and it's like a chalkboard. And somebody pointed out to me that I kept going to that as my default because the adrenaline was rushing through my body. I didn't know what to do with my voice. I was breathing from up here, and so that was what was coming out. And when I was able to realize that, it's much easier for me to stay in more authoritative tone, more authority in my voice, even though it's still higher. So let's kind of talk about the voices we love to listen to and why that is.
Yes, we love deeper voices in this country, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Those higher pitches just kind of get to us.
Oh, I'm doomed.
It's true. You hear them, I hear them. I hear 50-year-old women here. I don't know if it's just a California thing, but they speak like this. And then they say, Dr. Miluna, why am I not being taken seriously? Because you sound like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can hear, sometimes there are, I would say, absolute reasons for that. The person may have had trauma in their life. There may have been an emotional interruption. There are many, many reasons for this. But mostly, I suspect that we just don't know differently. We don't realize there's a head range register and a chest register. And as you said, our speaking voice should be mostly in the chest with a little bit of head down, brought down in for resonance. So I think the number one thing is the breath. For me, it's all about the foundation. As you said, not breathing from here, from the lungs, even though that's where we are actually taking the breath, is I teach my clients to breathe in the lower belly. I call it a singer's breath. So it's right down by the belly button. And it's to take deep breaths and imagine that air travels all the way from that lower belly, through the upper belly, through the diaphragm, through the lungs, has to come all the way, and it still has to come all the way out to the other side of the room, wherever we're projecting. So I like to think of the voice, as having a journey and a destination and an intention. It's also, to me, 3D, or maybe more. It has depth, it has height, it has width. And so breath is one thing. And I also think maybe grounding with the feet. Sometimes I will actually say to my client, I want you to imagine as if you're speaking from your feet. And that can help people who, as you said, when the energy starts rising up in the lungs and we're becoming the talking head, and our voice is getting too high pitched, slow down, get back in that body and in the lower belly area.
Because voice is a big part. You know, visual is important. The words that we say is important. Our voice is something people hear it. And so many people think it's who I am is, you know, that's the thing when I speak, or the words that I say or to speak, or the tone it's all of that. It's the whole entire package.
It is. We are so touched by voices. Imagine a world without sound. I wouldn't want to live in that. If we could not hear each other right now, or I couldn't have music, birds singing, all the sounds that we hear, it matters. And we're being touched by that tone of voice, whether we know it or not. We're reacting to it. We're either in alignment, the way we look, the story, and our voice, or there's a piece missing. And, you know, I find a lot of times people will work on their grooming, they look gorgeous, their story's phenomenal, but their voice sucks. It does not match. It's not a resonant, rich voice that we want to hear for long periods of time.
There's a term that I heard recently, which is breathy. And so breathy is that long, gotta say, what does somebody do if they're breathy? And so can you give us, I don't think I could do it properly. I'm sure I do it. So could you give an example of what breathy sounds like?
Breathy to me is, remember Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah.
Right? She said, "Happy birthday to you." And in order to correct that, because I'm not always sure where that comes from, it's kind of an individual basis when I'm working with clients. What we want to do is think of creating the sound with 50% breath and 50% tone. So that's the equation I like to work with. And I would suggest that folks practice what I mentioned earlier, that the voice has a destination and an intention. So a person might practice speaking to the other side of the room, or there's a trick where you can speak into the corner of a room so that sound is amplified and you can hear yourself better. So that's like having speakers feedback your own voice, since it is so hard to hear ourselves.
Right, and it's never sound, when you're on the phone, it doesn't quite sound like you, because remember how many people say, I hate the sound of my voice. Well, you heard your voice on an old recorder or something like that. It's just doesn't sound exactly as you would sound normally.
It does not. And as you mentioned, especially if we're on a radio show or a podcast, our words are going to matter, but what's the most important thing? It's our delivery and our voice quality. That's what's going to move people, touch people, influence them, get them to send their money, whatever it is that our intention is for that particular episode.
Perfect. So Dr. Miluna Fausch, would you share with people, if they wanted to get some more information from you, get some help from you, how can they contact you?
I suggest going to my website, which has a lot of information. There is a place to reach out and ask me a question. There is a place to apply for a 15-minute complimentary telephone call with me. And there's also a free report, how to command, I think I call it 6 steps to command any room. That is a way to get some more information. So that's the best place to start, milunafausch.com.
Can you spell it for our viewers, please?
Yes, let's do that. It's rather unusual, wouldn't you say?
Listen, you're talking to AmondaRose.com.
We're not Pam Smith. We have unusual names. Miluna is Miluna. Fausch is F like fantastic, AUSCH.com.
Perfect. And is there any final thought that you would like to leave with our viewers?
Final thoughts. I think just it matters what you say and it matters how you say it. And don't give up. Find the magic within your own voice. Because when you turn that up, who knows where that will take you.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. This has been a joyful time for me, and getting to hear your viewpoints on speaking. And there's a lot of similarities, but our backgrounds are different, and the clients that we work with are different as well. Yeah. And for our viewers, please go visit her website, milunafausch.com, reach out to her and ask her, book the session with her 15-minute, get some help, get her experiences. I know that she's a wealth of information and can certainly help you too. Anything, other thoughts you would like to leave with our wonderful viewers?
I think find the magic within your own voice. What you say matters, your words matter. If you find your voice and you turn it up, magic. It can take you places you can't even believe.
Woohoo! We're going to end on that note. Thank you, Miluna Fausch. You're amazing. And thank you, everybody, for watching this awesome video. Have a great day. Love to you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.